I am just honored and delighted to introduce today's guest. Cecily Routman is the president of the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation, which she founded in 2006 to promote life-saving solutions to unplanned pregnancy in the Jewish community. The foundation provides education about the development, viability, and sanctity of unborn life, as well as traditional Jewish law regarding abortion. In addition to providing adoption and pregnancy care referrals, they provide support to Jewish women and men who suffer after abortion. Unaffiliated with any Jewish denomination, political organization, or the messianic movement, the foundation inspires Jews to welcome preborn Jewish children into the inclusive movement of modern Jewish life and religion. Cecily obtained her MSW from the University of Pittsburgh. She and her husband, Tom, live in the Pittsburgh area. The Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation will present Cecily with the distinguished 2022 Pennsylvania Pro-Life Leadership Award at our banquet on October 21st. And we are so happy to have her here with us today. Welcome, Cecily.
Oh, thank you so very much, Bonnie, for welcoming me. And I'm completely overwhelmed that the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation offered me the Leadership Award. I have to say that God leads. I just follow.
Cecily, what prompted you to become active in the pro-life movement?
Well, the good Lord put it in my mind. Initially, the idea came to me at a place on my spiritual journey when I realized that my life had meaning and value because I was made in the image of God and was placed on this earth for a reason. I concluded that if this applied to me, it applied to everyone else. This realization made abortion unacceptable to me. In 2005, when I heard a Jewish woman on an NPR broadcast insisting that she had a religious right to a partial birth abortion, I felt strongly that a Jewish pro-life voice was needed in the public square and within the Jewish community to correct this dangerous and false perception of our faith tradition, because it was convincing many Jews to destroy their own innocent children and promoting abortion beyond the Jewish community too. No Jewish pro-life organization existed then, and after much hesitation, I started the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation.
How do you respond to those who say that the Jewish faith upholds the so-called right to abortion?
Well, sadly, the ones who are saying that abortion is a Jewish value and a religious right are agnostic secularists within the majority Jewish establishment. I respond to them by pointing out the obvious, that this view is deliberate falsehood declared by abortion advocates and greedy opportunists with no religious authority and no understanding of Judaism as the original pro-life religion. We created a quick reference guide called Jewish Pro-Life Replies to Jewish Pro-Abortion Claims. If I have a minute, I'll just share some of the main points. Well, I tell them that abortion is prohibited in Judaism and judged to be the unwarranted taking of a life within a life. The Jewish values require we take actions that protect and save lives, not destroy life. Our traditions teach us to use our resources to help vulnerable women and children flourish, to actively rescue those who are targeted for death, to respect life as made in the image of the Creator, to promote family, community, and posterity. They might not know it, but if the life of an unborn baby is being mortally threatened, then it is mandated in Jewish law to save that baby's life and to break every Sabbath prohibition to do so. I also remind them about our legal code, which forbids direct involvement in the destruction of life or support of businesses that destroy life or engage in harmful activity. Therefore, Jews are forbidden to engage in or support abortion business practices, and we all know what those are, right? Torturing and dismembering unborn citizens without even giving them pain medication, delivering live babies for illegal organ harvesting, racially targeting minority populations, ignoring standard medical regulations, failing to report sex crimes, or protecting victims of sex trafficking, and they harm women physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Now, in Jewish law, nobody has the right to kill anybody else. Killing is only justified in an extreme situation where killing an assailant is the only way to protect the right to life of the victim. Now, rabbinic law allows a rare exception to the prohibition against abortion to save the life of the mother. This legal permission to save the mother's life by taking the child's life was restricted to the grave imminent danger of a breech birth. And currently, an exception to save the mother's life is reflected in every pro-life law because it's very pragmatic, right? Today, life-threatening situations during later-term pregnancy are rare, and they do not require an abortion. I tell them that instead of destroying this child barbarically in an abortion, the problem can be remedied by humanely removing the baby from the uterus. If viable, the baby's life can be saved by placement in a neonatal intensive care unit, and if not viable, the baby can be allowed to pass peacefully, and a normal grieving process follows. This is much safer for the mother, too, and reflects the Jewish prohibition against shedding innocent blood. And lastly, I tell them that abortion was weaponized against Jews in the Holocaust in pursuit of the final solution. It's very complicated, but legal slaughter of subhuman parasites, as we were deemed then, codified systemic racism and genocide. This language and legal precedent provided sanction for systemic racism and genocide in current American abortion law. We must have 14th Amendment protections for unborn children in this country.
Cecily, what are the latest projects of your organization?
Well, we've been busy recently. We sent educational packets to the National Right to Life Committee for distribution to state affiliates at their annual convention. This was to get information into the hands of pro-life activists who are debating Jewish abortion proponents in state legislators, like the ones who are suing for abortion access on religious grounds in the states of Kentucky, Florida, and Indiana. We just produced a video called Made in God's Image, A Jewish Defense of Human Life in the Womb, which features 13 rabbis and lay people talking about being Jewish and pro-life. I'm hoping to start monthly webinars, and in the near future, we plan to fundraise for our Israel Pro-Life Education Project. Israel society is made up of mostly secular Jews with a very liberal government that funds abortion on demand. The sanctuary state of Jews that appeared after the Holocaust in Europe excludes Jews in the womb, and we hope to start a grassroots movement to change that.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the I'm not sure if I'm saying it the right way, Tikvat Rachel program and why it is so important?
Yes, you said it correctly. Tikvat Rachel is our healing program for Jewish women and men who suffer after abortion. It's based on the spiritual redemptive process called Teshuvah. We offer it several times a year in our private Zoom room at no cost to participants. It's important because many Jews suffer from complex mental and emotional problems after abortion, and they need a safe place to go where they can share and be guided in a spiritual healing process.
Now, do you remember where you were when you found out Roe versus Wade had been overturned?
I do, Maria. I was in my home office working on one of our newsletters. That's where you usually can find me. I remember thanking God for lifting this weight from our government and that many innocent lives would be saved. I wondered if America would soon be divided into life states and death states, similar to slave and free states in the past, and I wondered what the end result would be.
Yeah, that's a very important question. Now, what progress do you see being made on the pro-life front?
I see lots of progress being made because of ultrasound technology that confirms the baby's life in the womb, and also so many young people are joining the movement. And now that citizens have representation at the state level, abortion bans are being enacted despite the political posturing of abortion industry profiteers and compromised judges. A culture of life is gaining momentum, and thank God for it. I pray for the day in America when legal murder of our most innocent citizens is recognized as a human rights catastrophe, and as a nation we end it.
Cecily, you're in the Pittsburgh area. There's so many universities there, so many college students. If you could speak to a young Jewish woman who was considering abortion, what would you tell her?
Well, there certainly are a lot of young Jewish women in the Pittsburgh area with all our universities. And I would tell her that no matter the pressure or approval she gets from friends and family to have an abortion, that the life of her child is precious, unique, and a gift from heaven. I tell her that many resources and help are available to help her in her pregnancy and afterward, that she could still be successful in her profession and have her child too. I'd remind her that our matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, all cherished children and prayed to God to conceive, and they did. I'd help her understand that choosing life for her child preserves the continuity of the Jews, whereas destroying her child's life perpetuates the Holocaust of the Jews. Lastly, I would say to her that life is full of mystery and wonder, and that Providence will provide every blessing she and her child need to prosper and thrive.
Cecily, we probably have about 7 minutes left, and I'm wondering, University of Pittsburgh is in your area. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the possible harvesting of aborted baby body parts. Can you tell us about that situation and what's being done to try to stop that from happening?
Well, you might know that there was a panel convened last year off campus, and I was asked to participate in that panel. We had David Daleiden with us. It was really a very inspiring but troubling discussion, and he talked a lot about his findings. It turns out that, this has been very hidden from the university community, but it's been going on for years that they've been doing this research on these unborn children. So my understanding right now is that very little is being done, unfortunately. They hired a bunch of lawyers who testified at a hearing that nothing was being done that was illegal. It was all somehow or another allowed under current law in terms of fetal research. So it's depressing to say the least. Also, I know that our Congressman, Keith Rothfuss, is very intensely motivated to try to get funding cut to the University of Pittsburgh from Harrisburg, and you might know a little more about that. Mm-hmm. But that it's very difficult because there's so much political power and money that goes back and forth between Harrisburg and the university. And that's my understanding at the moment.
Yeah, and I think you've pointed out in the past, we have a terrible history in the world of experimentation on individuals without their consent. And this whole thing with the University of Pittsburgh, it just brings that back to the fore, and it's very troubling.
Yes, but Maria, my understanding is that there's so much money now in fetal research because of all this mRNA genetic research that's being done, and the millions of dollars now that are being funneled from the NIH into these universities. And so there's a whole industry growing up around having to have these organs in order to develop these medicines, as they call them, So there's a real strong motivation to continue doing this and to expand it. And when it comes to permissions to do this kind of thing, it's just ignored.
Yeah. It's very difficult to understand, but thanks to you for at least shedding light on this situation and educating people about it, because that's the first step in order to address it, is that people need to be aware of the situation, and you do a fine job with that. Yeah. I'm wondering too, if you're troubled by the fact that in Pennsylvania, we have a candidate for governor who talks a lot about his Jewish faith and how important it is for him. And yet he supports something like the Women's Health Protection Act, the so-called Women's Health Protection Act, which would wipe out pro-life protections in Pennsylvania and across the country.
I know it's hard to understand how a Jewish man can be so inculcated with abortion mentality, but these people are raised with it. I think as soon as they can understand language, their mothers are telling them that abortion should be a religious right and they have a right to it. So they grow up with it. It's generational now in many Jewish cultures. And they just believe it. And even though people call themselves Jewish, you might know that Jewish means a lot of different things, and it doesn't necessarily mean they know anything about Judaism. People identify as Jewish because they have Jewish parents, or because they might eat a certain way or live in a certain community, but they're just Jewish in name only. But it is very troubling. I'm deeply ashamed of the candidate, as well as our current governor, who was a Planned Parenthood volunteer escort earlier in his life. It just motivates me, Maria, to, when I get up in the morning, to work again at this project that we started. I feel that no matter what the cost or how much time it takes or how many, humbling errors I make, that is not important compared to the dangerous propaganda that continues to come out of the Jewish community. It's destroying hearts and minds and souls and lives, for sure.
Cecily, the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation has an excellent website, and I love the motto or the slogan you have at the top. We're making the original pro-life religion pro-life again. There's so many resources here. Is the movie that you talked about, Made in God's Image, is that available on your website?
I put that on our homepage, yes.
Great, great. Well, I would recommend that people definitely check out your website because there's so many good resources, and you just keep adding to them. Do you have any projects in mind for the future, any goals, anything you're looking to do?
Well, on the home front, I hope that we can expand our message and get it out to more markets. I would love to get out to the West Coast somehow. And then in Israel, as I said, we do want to start our educational grassroots project there. But those are two big agendas for the near future.
And Cecily, I can remember when you first contacted us way back when. And here, you started not just a national organization, but it really has an international feel to it, because you're reaching out to Israel and you are affecting things around the world. And to think that this started out in Pennsylvania with this woman, it's just remarkable. And I just want to thank you so much for all that you're doing, and you are well deserving of that award that you're going to receive.
Well, Maria, you are very kind. I remember with deep affection my early connections with you and with Bryce, who
Yes.
mentored and encouraged me. I don't think I could have started without his help and without coming to your lectures and programs and things. Really, it's mutual. Really, I have great respect and admiration for what you people do at the Federation.
Thank you so much, Cecily. We've been speaking with Cecily Routman, the president of the Jewish Pro-Life Foundation. Thank you so much, Cecily.
You're welcome, and thank you, Maria and Bonnie, too.
Thank you.
Positively Pro-Life is made possible through the generous support of the members of the Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation all across the Commonwealth. Pennsylvania Pro-Life Federation is the largest single-issue pro-life organization in the Keystone State, with more than 40 local county-based chapters. We shine a spotlight on the most vulnerable individuals, from the very dawn of life to the twilight of life. To learn more about the inspiring work of the Federation, please visit our website at paprolife.org. You can also find us on all major social media. My thanks to my affable co-host Bonnie Finnerty, and for you, the listeners who inspire us each week. Thank you for joining us, and remember, there's always a reason to choose life.